here. I should have everything. All right. So, Chey, as we're just talking, door-to-door sales. While I'm going to do an intro on this, but why don't you go ahead just real fast, give a quick, 5 or 1 minute, 5 second, whatever you want to do, overview of who you are, what you do, and then we're going to go back to the beginning.
Okay, perfect. My name is Chey Wisdom, and I manage a sales region at Skyline Security. So we do door-to-door sales, and I've been here it's been 2 years, coming up on 2 years. So I started out as a sales rep in November of 2021, and we have grown, 2022. And I've grown my team from, it was just me, and we've grown to, now have 82 reps with a sale. So, and we are also the #1 region, #1 office in the entire company. So it's been
how big, how much area does your company cover?
So we run a blitz organization. So what that means is we all kind of meet in a state and we stay in an Airbnb for a couple months, and we'll cover like a state. And then we'll move to the next state and we'll hit there for 2, 3, 4 months. And then we move on. So
that's kind of intense.
It's totally intense. It is. I'm not going to lie. It is. I'm grateful that I'm not single, because finding a boyfriend with that lifestyle would be really difficult.
Yeah. That'd be a challenge.
Yeah. But the great thing is, what makes Skyline and our organization so great is that you are very well compensated for what you do. So the work that you put in. And so it makes it worth it. And we also have become such a family. So the company is called Skyline, and within Skyline is the collective, and that's ran by our VP of sales, Nico Van Slyke. And then I run a region within that division called Collective Worldwide. So we have just become like a family. So staying in an Airbnb with your best friends, working really hard. We're all young, making a bunch of money. So it's fun, and you get used to it after a while, all the traveling.
So worldwide. So you guys go outside the country, or?
No. You know what? We came up with that name.
Like the Big Brothers kind of, whatever that movie was with Will Ferrell, knockoff.
Yeah, it's the knockoff. Yes. Prestige worldwide. Yes.
Yeah.
All my buddies on the team used to make fun of me for that. But yeah, the name just came about and we ran with it. So
So we were talking before I hit record. We were talking a little bit about I'll tell you a little bit of context about the podcast and what we do, what we talk about, and gave you a little bit about what we talked about in our last episode with the conversation that I had with this gentleman that's getting ready to go into college. And I think your story really plays off well to kind of give some young people that might have an idea what they want to do, but don't quite really know what I want to do. Because when I was in college, I thought I was going to be a landscaper. Then I found out I hated landscaping in college, and then went to work for Anheuser-Busch. And then the recession hit, so I went back. Then I had a job offer there, but I came back to help my dad out. And then I liked the sales side of it so much that I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to stick with the landscaping. So then I fell back in love with landscaping. But we talked a little bit about the early 20s. At least for myself, I call those kind of the lost dark years. I had a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong, I had a lot of fun. But I can't reiterate enough about the time, energy, and money that I wish I could reclaim at least some of it back. And you mentioned some of the same thing, that you wish you would have found door-to-door sales much earlier in your life, but maybe not being able to handle it. So can you why don't you go ahead from there and just give a little bit of your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, there were times when I thought, because I started door to door, I was about to turn 27, and I'm a month away from being 30 right now. So I was almost 27, and the money started coming in, and I was like, wow, I wish that I had started this when I was 21, 22, just earlier in my 20s. But the reality is that nothing comes to your life until you're ready for it. And I know who I was when I was 21, 22, 23, I know that girl better than anyone else does, right? And I know that she wouldn't have been able to handle it. So when I came in as an adult who was ready to truly be an adult, I was ready to put my head down and do this to the fullest potential and not halfway dip my toe in. I was ready to dive in, become a leader, and see where this could take me. Where if I was doing it at 23, I would have probably made a few $1,000s in a week, taken off the rest of the month, been broke, had to rush back to work and hurry to get more money and then taken off. I know how I would have handled it, right? Because your brain is not developed. You don't know enough about the world. You haven't experienced enough. That's my personal experience anyway. I hadn't gone through enough in the real world without, my parents there to back me up and, on my own to really take full responsibility. And so there were times in my earlier 20s too, where if I had done something wrong, I had a really hard time accepting that. And I think through experience, you learn over time, your self-awareness grows. And so accepting and admitting that if anything is your fault, you admit it and you have a conversation and you move on. And that's what leadership is. So those skills taught me in leadership. Like I know if something happens in collective worldwide, it's my fault. And that I brought with me from lessons that I learned in my earlier 20s. You have to take responsibility for things and being extremely positive all the time. Like when things go awry, I'll tell you guys about door to door. It's tough. Okay. Rain, snow, 110 degrees, freezing cold. We're out there knocking on people's doors, selling them an alarm system. And so it gets grueling. And if so your market kind of makes a difference and everyone knows that. So if you're in a certain market where, people aren't as receptive to you and you have to work like it really, really hard and it can be mentally taxing. And so when my reps come home to the Airbnb and they're like, I didn't get a sale. I worked all day. It's 110 degrees. I just like, it's my job to be extremely positive, uplifting, encouraging, know what to do extremely fast. And, I also know that in my earlier 20s, I would have been susceptible to the feeding into the negativity, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And not having that break where I'm like, nope, you can't do that. Everything in leadership trickles down, you know? And so yeah, I'm grateful now that I'm in it as much as I am and as deep as I am and truly as successful as I am. I'm grateful that it came into my life as exactly when it did, because that's just how God works, you know?
100%. So you just hit on what, I'm very open about just the struggles we've gone through as a business. So for context, I don't know how much you know about our business. It's 70 years old this year. Our grandpa started it, and we've changed the way we run the business quite a bit over the last few years. We had to exit some people, just wasn't fitting the vibe of what we were really trying to do anymore. And a lot of skeletons came out, a bunch of stuff. I mean, and I talked to so many people. Every business deals with it. But that experience in 2008, 2009, first 2008, 2009 was my wake up call. So I was just out of college. I just graduated college when the recession started taking hold, and so that's when I had to do my door-to-door sales. And that's
you did them.
That's what I didn't do it to the level you guys do it. But it was, but just going out and finding the work, going out and just drumming up the business. That's why we were able to. We grew 4 times over the next 4 or 5 years of what we originally.
What were you selling?
Landscape design build services.
Okay.
So working on mostly custom, high custom homes or high end custom homes, and all that market that's where I thrive at. And then we switched over to more commercial maintenance. And then we started building this, and we started getting so much work that I couldn't handle it all anymore. My dad couldn't handle it. So we had to go out and hire people to do it. And so your point I can resonate very well with these younger sales reps or in my case, sometimes designers who are also doing sales, or account managers who are also doing sales, whatever the case might be. They're like, they just deal with some pretty uppity clients where like blades of grass are bent the wrong way. It's the end of the world. And so it's kind of like they're like, I don't know what to do. It's kind of, you just kind of sit there and smile like, oh, you got one of those now, huh? You just walk them through the situation and kind of let them anxiety come down. I was like, look, probably had a bad day, maybe lost a legal battle, maybe whatever, lost a project, whatever, something went bad. It's not you. Just don't worry about it, and we'll keep moving on. And if it's to the point to where it's such a big deal, the grass is bent the wrong way, maybe it's not the right guy for us. I mean, we'll keep moving on. We'll keep going the right direction, type of thing. So, yeah. But you nail it on the head though with having to stay positive all the time. But you know what? That's taxing. That's very taxing, because you have to muster up the energy when you've been tapped out. So what do you do what are some things you do to try to keep that energy level high, as far as just making sure you're pouring into you so you can pour into others? That's a key thing that I think people miss the boat on.
Yes, I agree 100%. And so, number one, I love what I do. It all starts right there. If you hate what you do, or you're feeling, just about what you do, it's going to be really hard to be positive all the time. But if you can wake up every day and you know that you're exactly where you're supposed to be, and you love what you do, and you still a few years in get that rush from what you're doing, I think that is such a key. And so Gary Vee talks about that a lot. He talks about how someone can be really good at something, but if they don't love it, it's not gonna be as sustainable as someone who starts out mediocre but loves it. That's gonna be more sustainable, right? And then you just get better from there. So, and then, here's the thing. I've read like every self-help development book that is on a bookshelf. And what you notice when you read those books is that they all say the same thing. So that when you read these moguls and these authors, and you see them on Instagram or read their books or listen to podcasts or their audibles, and they're all saying the same thing, they're probably onto something. Yeah. So I'm not going to say anything mind-blowing right now. Drink water, eat vegetables, have a balanced diet, and work out, go outside, limit social media. When I'm doing those things, I am unstoppable. You cannot stop me. When I am doing those things, I'm an unstoppable woman. You cannot tell me anything that's going to ruin my day, period. I am happy, happy, happy. And it is a genuine, pure happiness. You get the dopamine, you get the serotonin, your body is energized, your mind is energized. You're more connected to your spirituality. You're more connected to gratitude. And when you're vibrating at that level, as an entrepreneur, your finances are good, your mental health is good, your physical self is good. That's an unstoppable person. And I cannot be convinced otherwise, because I've been both. I have ignored all of those things and trucked through this. And I have been on top on my A game, and you flow through it. And those two things, you're getting the job done, but how you feel while you're doing it is completely different. And how you feel is everything. Sales is a transfer of energy. Leadership is a transfer of energy. Everything that we do, we're transferring energy. I'm transferring energy to you right now. I transfer energy to my customers. I transfer energy to my grandma when she calls me on the phone. You don't have to be in person, but it's always, 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 you're taking care of yourself on the inside. It's going to pour out on the outside. And so, if you want to lead people, and I see this in door to door all the time, because I will say in door to door, we're kind of like a come one, come all. You pass the background check, we'll take you. So in the industry in general, you see people who lead, and you hear these like horror stories of people who stepped into a leadership position just because they sold a lot. And high sales doesn't always equal Correct. A good leader, right?
You read that book too?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I read that in a book once and I was like, huh, maybe I'm in the wrong position. I know.
It happens all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
I did it. I was like, whoa, this person sells a lot, but they
Yeah.
not great at leading, because you have
It's
someone who
different
sells a
skill.
lot, but
Yeah. You mentioned something about, Gary Vee talks about you bring in a mediocre person and make them it will teach them a great skill. But like if you bring in like a poor attitude, and I mean obviously that's key. But one of the questions I wrote down that because Katie gave me obviously some questions that these she thought would be relevant. But one of the things I was thinking about is, since you lead a team, is when you're hiring on, it might be different door-to-door sales because you're just trying to get in people that might be just starting out in their careers in some case, teach them the skill. But do you look for the right culture fit first, or do you look for somebody that has no skill but the right culture, or do you look for somebody that has just fantastic skills? How do you look at it?
so we actually have this, I don't want to say it wrong. So the motto of the collective is, we will take you as you are and build you from there. That's where we grow from. That's where we come from. Now, as a woman in the industry, as a woman in general, I think that we are naturally more intuitive. So I want to preface that with, I am not like a big men versus women thing. I think we're all humans and we all bring something special to the table. But I do think as women, we're just naturally highly intuitive. And so what I do is I recruit on Instagram, period, point blank. I've recruited, I think, 25 people from Instagram this year, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And so I'll get them all on a Zoom call and I pay attention. I'll bring you on, but I know pretty quickly how much energy I'm going to put into you,
Yeah.
So here's the thing.
Some people vibe.
Of course. And you have to fit into the culture, period.
Yeah.
Worldwide has such a great culture, and we don't have negative Nancy's. We don't have people who don't work. We don't have lazy people. And so I'll bring you in, but I will not risk the culture, because culture drives influence. Culture drives production. Culture drives sustainability. Culture is everything.
A good
So
culture delivers good things to the customers also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So so I put everybody on a Zoom call. We have one recruiting class per month. So I pay attention to who asks questions. I pay attention to who's got their camera on. Are they looking? Are they walking around? Are they chatting with their friends? Do they have their camera off? Or do I even know if they're listening?
That drives me nuts.
It drives me nuts.
Like, okay, so what are you doing that you can't have your camera on? Like,
yeah.
So.
And this is through this like life-changing opportunity. So I don't like to discount anyone because someone took a chance on me who'd never done sales. I was broke as a joke. I didn't carry myself with any sort of confidence. I didn't come from anything special. And, they took a chance on me, and my life will never be the same. And so you never know who on that screenshot is a replica of myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I will give anybody a chance, right? But if you're messing with the culture, or you're especially like, we haven't had an issue with this, but if you're being unethical or something like that, like, it's not worth it.
Those are baseline looks. Sorry, we'll like, it might hurt losing it, but we're gonna make it. We'll make it happen.
It'll be better. You cut the dead leaf off the tree, and it grows more. So it flourishes.
I'm all about that,
yeah. Well, have you read The Energy Bus by John Gordon?
I have not. I've heard about it. I never read it.
It's great. It's really great. So we don't just like fire people, but you keep the positive energy bus driving. And if people don't want to get on, well, we're not going to sit here at the bus stop and wait for you to get on. We're going to keep going. And if you don't get on, then your ride's over. That's how it goes. But in terms of like, how do I pick people? I let them come to me because it's kind of funny. My team, they're kind of like just a bunch of little me's, replicas of me, because everything is an attraction. I don't force people to be here. I don't put out posts on Instagram like, come join my team. I actually don't actively recruit like that at all. I just post about my life and some paychecks every once in a while, and people just flow in through my DMs constantly. And so it's all an attraction. And so I'll have a rep who they're funny like me. I'll have a rep who's just really hardworking, or I'll have one who, it's just like we're all connected. And so I really don't prejudge or anything. I don't really turn anyone away, because so far it's been kind of like I have a specific connection with each person, So yeah, it's cool. It's cool.
So when you are, so you don't recruit, you don't actively recruit, then you use your social media to pull people in, which actually is going to bring the right, like you said, the attraction side of it is absolutely key. And that's something when I talk to my HR manager about how we do recruiting, is the best people are going to come from the people that are either referred from our current employees, or they've seen the work that we've done. They want to be a part of the work that we're doing, which is key, which is why, on the contracting end side for us, it's so important to make sure that when we're putting things in, it's to a standard unlike anybody else out in the field, which is hard because we deal with so many different elements out there. Now, you mentioned a little bit before you got in the door to our sales that, financially might not have been the best place. So before you got this opportunity, what were you doing before this?
So I was a wedding planner. So I'm from Kansas City. So I was living in Kansas City and I was a bartender, and I started bartending at this event space. And the venue owner was like, hey, I am getting ready to let go of one of the event coordinators. Do you want a full-time job here? And I was like, oh my God, I made it because I didn't graduate college. And this was in 2014, when people still believed that college was everything.
Oh my gosh,
And that,
yes,
you weren't going to be anything if you didn't finish college. So I was always had like a little voice right here that was like, you're going to be nothing because you didn't finish college. And I would be like, okay, but I was bartending. And so I was like, man, am I nothing? And no shade to any bartender who may be listening to this. I know how hard you work. I just knew that I wanted to do something just different. And, and so he asked me if I wanted to be an event coordinator. And I was like, I'm out of the food and beverage industry. I'll be actually, part of something bigger. And so I worked there for, I don't know, a year and a half. And for some reason, wherever I go, I make a name for myself. I don't know why, or how, but I made a name for myself in the wedding industry in Kansas City. And these two women came over from a different wedding venue, and they were like, we've heard about your work. You just do such a good job. They poached me. They totally poached me. And they're like, we're opening up this new wedding venue, and we're going to offer you $20,000 more than what he's paying you over here. And I was like 24. And I was like, $20,000, let's go. So I went over there, and it was an amazing experience. I ran this entire wedding venue. They basically gave me the responsibility. I had the keys. I had everything. I did everything for this place. So I was making like $80,000 a year. And I just I was living large. And then COVID hit and people stopped getting married. And my job became just a pure panic every day. Brides, calling me, just panicked. And that takes a toll on your mental health when the only phone call that you're getting is panicked brides, what we're going to do, but again, in that leadership role, I had to be like, it's going to be all right, blah, blah, blah. So in the midst of, I'm also in an unprecedented worldwide pandemic. So, it was a lot, but COVID hit and we shut down. And so during that time, I went and visited my twin sister in Austin. I needed to get out of Kansas City. You know how COVID was. So I went to Austin, visited her. I was like, this is where you've been living? This city is amazing. And so I went back, I quit my job, I loaded up a U-Haul, and I moved on. I was like, what else am I going to do? And so unemployment was paying me $500 a week. And that stretched pretty far in Kansas City. It did not in Austin. So I learned that really quickly. So I was making $2,000 a month, $2,000 a month. God. And 1,000 of that was going to my rent. And, having an extra $1,000 a month, it sounds like something. It's not. You have your cell phone, you have your car insurance, you have groceries, you have gas, you maybe want to go be social every once in a while, and that goes really fast. So I was dead broke. And so for 9 months, I'm in Austin. It's way more expensive than I was ever imagining. And nobody was hiring. I mean, this was September of 2020. So pretty in the height of COVID. And
Yeah.
so I just have never, I've never felt what I felt during that time. So towards the end of those 9 months that I didn't have a job, I just like I would wake up in the morning and it was crazy. Like I'll never forget this, but I would open my eyes and immediately start panicking about money every day towards the end. And it was the hardest time of my life. And I remember specifically one day I'm laying in bed and I wake up and I was like, stop, stop. We're not doing this today. I put my hand down on my bed and I had to pry myself out of bed. I mean, I was severely depressed, severely. And I got up and I was like, today is the day that we change. We're not doing this anymore. I can control what I can control and I can't what I can't. Right today, you don't have a job, but you need to move your body. You need to get outside and I gained a bunch of weight during COVID. I wasn't doing anything. I was lucky if I left my bed, during the end of those 9 months, it just got really bad. And so for the next 3 months, so it was January, February, no, it would have been February, March, April. I created a morning routine that changed my life. Every day at 5:30, I woke up and I worked out in my garage because I couldn't afford a gym membership. So I made a little makeshift thing. Every single day at 5:30 in the morning, I was in the gym, in my little gym. And then I would make breakfast and then I would write in my journal and then I'd take my dogs on a walk. And by the time it was all said and done, I mean, it was like, 9 a.m. And I didn't have a job, but I was like, wow, I feel good. I feel amazing. So I lost all my COVID weight. And it was crazy because I had no money, but I genuinely believe that up until that point, I was the happiest person I had ever been in my life, ever. And I had no money, which really taught me that money doesn't buy happiness at all. And so, anyway, fast forward, one of my best friends came to visit me through this depression. Her name's Ema, and she lived in KC. And I was like, Ema, man, I'm not doing good. I'm not doing well. I think I made a mistake and I signed this lease and I just want to come home. She was like, okay, I'll come. I'm coming. I'll come visit you. She was like, whoa, this city is awesome. I'm moving here. I'm dead serious. So she went home, packed up her stuff, and she came. Austin has that thing. It just grabs you for certain people. And so she went home and she came back, and her cousin, Callie, was living in Austin. And Callie was like, oh, I know this guy named Nico. He does like door-to-door sales, Ema, if you need like a job when you get here. So Ema's like, okay, I did door-to-door with like hail damage before. Like, I'll just do that to start out with. So she starts getting paid thousands of dollars a week. And I'm like, wait a second, you've been here for 12 seconds and you're already doing this. I've been here for 9 months and I am dead broke. Like, I don't know what you're doing or what door-to-door sales are. Like, never had heard of that in my life. And I was like, but I need you to hire me, please. And she was like, all right, done. So she orders me an iPad, orders me a polo. She was like, memorize this pitch. We'll hit the doors on Monday. She trained me for 4 days. I never pitched in front of her. I never did the sign-up process. I just watched. And I really biffed it for the first, week or 2, 3. I was like biffing it. And so, but I just kept at it. I was like, this is my one and only shot to change my life. That's just how I looked at it. And when you get a job and you're on unemployment, you have to let the government know. So I was like, okay, I'm 1099. The government isn't paying me anymore. I don't have a choice but to get really good at this. So I stopped listening to music, sales podcasts, sales audibles. I said the pitch when I was in the shower, about to go to sleep, brushing my teeth, walking my dogs, in the gym. I was constantly saying the pitch. I was like, I will be damned if I don't succeed at this, because this is my last chance. 5 weeks later, I broke a record for the highest accumulated packages in a week in my region. I remained towards the top of the region from that point forward. We were at Vivint at the time. I was only at Vivint for about 6 months. And then it was November 2022. We moved over to Skyline, which is an authorized dealer of Brinks. So it's connected to Brinks Home Security. And so we were there, we were kind of learning Skyline November and December. And then we went into January and I was like, this is it. This place is it. Just so much better. The culture, sorry, I probably shouldn't say that. It was better for me. It was better for me. It was better for me.
Sorry for all the other people out there.
Yeah. So, and so in February, or at the end of January, I pulled Nico to the side and I was like, hey, I mean, we're in sales. Everybody's got a little bit of an ego in sales. If you don't, you're probably not that amazing at sales, right?
Oh man, good thing nobody else is in the room with me.
So I'm like, man, listen, at Vivint, I was like kicking butt. Everybody knew my name. Like, no one knows me over here. They don't know what I'm capable of. So I want to go on a blitz and I want to go by myself, just me and a technician for, by the way, we did start in 2021. So anyway, so this was 2022. We went and, I went on a blitz for 4 weeks straight with just me and a technician. And I was like, I'm going to show Skyline who I am. Week 1, I did 14 installs. It was okay. Second week, I had 35 installs, and that was at the time, the company record, female, male, doesn't matter, most installs in a week in company history. And so then I went on for the 3rd week and the 4th week, and I had the most installs for a female in a day, most for in the company for a week, most installs in a month for a female. And then I went on to be the only female in Skyline history to ever sell 300 in a year. So by the end of last year, people definitely knew who I was. I was becoming established, and, obviously it changed my life. When you're selling a lot, you get paid a lot, right? And so it changed my life. It changed my life forever. And so I credit a lot of that success, not only to my mentors and just the way that Skyline is set up, but I really credit it to, I never, ever, not once, dipped my toe into it. I just dove in and I never looked back. They call it burning the ships. And so if you're going to do anything, just do it and do it consistently. You're not ever going to, so
consistency. So my son's here. He's working on, so I'm at my garden center right now. And there's an area of weeds that always bothers me. So I gave him the task to pull all the weeds in this area. And I'm going to clean it up. And anyways, but I was talking to him today because he goes, do I have to can I stop pulling weeds at lunchtime? And I was like, here, come sit down. Come sit down. And so he's 9. So he's just starting to become aware of, different things. And I was trying to teach him the principle of consistency and why it matters, because he loves driving Bobcats. Like he's been able to drive tractors since he was almost 4 or 5, and operate excavators, everything else. So he loves that stuff, and he wants to do more of that for work, but he can't because he's 9. And so I was talking to him. I was like, look, and it's like the weeds, it's hard, right? He goes, yeah. I goes, hot outside, right? He goes, yeah. It's boring. Yeah, it's boring. I say, look, I felt all the same things that you're feeling right now when I was your age, because I did the same thing. I said, and you want to quit till you don't want to do it anymore, right? He goes, no, I don't want to do it anymore. Do I have to? I said, look, it's going to be a hard concept for you to grasp right now, but you will understand. Do you know what consistency means? He goes, I have no idea. I said, consistency is if you read your school book every single day for the next year, that's consistent. If you read it today and don't read it again until the weekend, that's not consistent because you didn't do it every day. I said, with your project, though, with the pulling the weeds, this is why it matters. Pulling the weeds consistently means that the girls downstairs who are watching you, they know they know they can believe in you and know that you're gonna get the work done.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, I understand that. So when their tasks involve bobcats, when you get a little older, who are they going to come to because they know that you're consistent? Me. I was like, you're right. So it's consistency. So you got to consistently pull the weeds. And we'll have many more metaphors. I'll be able to talk to them about what it means to pull weeds and everything else. But for this case, it was physically just going to pull the weeds. So, but consistency. I mean, it's with my role. So like I was quote unquote VP of sales for our company. Technically, I have the title still, but I run everything.
Yeah.
You know, but I was like, you know, great. I'm a good sales guy, but your point of like the best sales guy is one of the best manager. And I was not the best manager because I was trying to do everything. I was trying to do the dopamine rush of I want to get that sale, I want to get this quick hit, I want to get this. But then you go to managing people, it's a whole different ballgame. Like it's a delayed dopamine hit because you get your rush off your team getting wins, of the group winning. Even if one or two people are winning, it's great. All right. But when everybody's winning, it's like, oh, yes, absolutely. Today, I wrote, I personally didn't write, but I signed off on the biggest incentive checks that we've had in our company for this quarter. So we've got some new incentive plans in place and put it in. But I was like, and I'm looking at the numbers. I'm like, I've never given away that much money before in my life. And I'm looking over. I'm like, we got the money for that, right? And they're like, oh, we're good. We've been saving for this for a while. I'm like, yes, all right, let's sign this up. Let's go. So, but yeah, but I mean, it's that energy though, that team, that team, that camaraderie, where you actually care. And this is the difference between why salespeople, I think, again, I'm off the cuff here. I think salespeople, high-end salespeople are so, a lot of cases are bad at managing people. Mm-hmm. Because salespeople inherently are out for themselves. Yes. They want to provide a good product. The good salespeople want to provide a good product to their customers, and they want to do good. They want to be right. But salespeople are money driven. They're money. They want to win. They want money. They want the dollars. They want that. And so when they come to have to managing people, they don't know how to handle people that might not be driven that way yet, or understand how it's a whole different dynamic. And so somebody that's very aware, and somebody that, even though they might have a big ego, knows how to hit that empathy button to really understand what somebody that's new is going through, to understand how to get them on board. I mean, so examples with what you might, so exactly what I'm saying is, who have you had a when you started training into going to the manager role? I mean, what was that switch like for you? Was it like automatic, hey, look, I got this, or was it like, no, this kind of sucks, I can't get that quick hit, I got it, how do I get my fix on this?
Yeah. So, well, I wasn't a good manager at first either, you know, and I'm not like, I mean, I've grown a lot and my team loves me, which, you know, that says a lot. So, but at first this guy, his name's Trevor, he hit me up on Instagram. He's still here. And he wanted to do this job. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, all right. So I was like, buy a plane ticket to Atlanta, Georgia, because that's where I'm working right now. And I didn't teach him the pitch, the points, nothing. I just was like, all right, hop in my car. We're going to go sell alarms. So first of all, the training aspect was not there. I just chucked people in. I was like, whatever, I figured it out. You'll figure it out. So what I learned is, and what I really pride myself in is, I've learned that not everybody thinks, works, acts like me. So I have to go to them in a way that they learn, they act, they receive information. So, but my struggle was, I was coming off or going into a record-breaking year. And so I cared about my sales and my sales only, you know? And so I really didn't want people to, so I didn't really check in with people much. And my team was really small last year. There was like 5 of us. And so I wanted to keep it that way because I was like, I'm not ready to take the attention off of me. Right. And so my struggle was definitely like kind of being, I just wanted to have a rookie year. Like everybody, I think in sales, you should have a rookie year before you dive into heavy management. So, but anyway, at the end of the year, we recruited about 5 more people. We ended the year with about 10 reps. And I knew that this year was going to look much different. And so, just in terms of, you have to continue your personal development. You have to continue learning, because your step 1, learn how to sell an alarm. Step 2, you have to learn how to be good at selling alarms. And then you have to teach people how to do it. And then once your people know how to do it, you have to maintain the culture, encouragement, motivation, skills, always keeping up with what's going on with everybody. You have to have your eyes on everything. Who hasn't sold today? What's going on? Your eyes are constantly on the present and the future and everything that's going on. So with me, I realized rather quickly, because we started growing extremely fast. So our team is massive now. At the beginning of the year, I was like, okay, I sat down with Chase, who is a junior regional within my region. And I was like, what do we excel at? Chase and I are very similar. We're like, we excel at recruiting, selling, and training. What do Chey and Chase not excel at? Organization, planning, and those 2 things we both severely lacked in. So we hired an admin named Amy. So she took over all of the back end stuff. If it is not recruiting, selling, or training, she doesn't mess with those things. Everything else she does, everything. And so when we delegated those responsibilities, we were able to grow the team in a massive and very fast way. Because wherever you put your energy is where you grow. It's what grows the fastest. And Chase and I would have needed like 3 more arms and 2 more heads to get all of that done in a timely manner. So we delegated. And at first I was like, wait, I can do that. And she's like, Chey, this is why you hired me. You got to let go of this part of the business. I got it. And once I was able to let that go, we just exploded. So I really understand the power of delegation. And so a struggle when I first started managing was I wanted to control everything. I'm such a control freak. But when I was able to let it go, we were able to just rocket ship up. So that was a great learning lesson, and I will never regret that ever. So
let me jump in the weeds just a little bit here. So you mentioned like you have to watch everything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a lot. I mean, for myself and this entire company and all the people that we have, like 105, I think, people on staff now. I mean, we're all over St. Louis, like always in every different corner of it every day. So I mean, I can't physically be everywhere, but seeing different systems that we have just to manage everything and all the moving parts. So I'm assuming you guys use some kind of CRM software to, somebody doesn't sell something a day that you see the numbers. What's that conversation like if you see that somebody maybe didn't make a sale for the day, or is it, obviously if it's a new person, it might be that maybe it's an acceptable thing. Hey, look, this is kind of common. You gotta get your, get used to what you're doing. But if it's like somebody that's, hey, you've been here 6 months, maybe been here a year, and there's not a sale in the day, or maybe the sales are something for a week, like how do you start to kind of come beside them and say, hey, what's going on with sales? I mean, everything good, or what does that look like?
Well, like you mentioned, it depends on who it is. If you're a brand new rookie and you haven't sold today, that's all right. You're all right. Hey, how was your day? You doing all right? What'd you learn today? What's something good that happened today? And they're brand new. So they're like, well, I got the door slammed in my face, but and they're like, super excited, and then I'll let them have Tuesday. Like, let's say they don't get a sale Monday, I'll let them have Tuesday, because I'm not a helicopter manager. I never will be. I don't want to helicopter over people, so I give them all their space. I give them their freedom. And so they, on Tuesday, if they also don't get a sale, they're going to ride with me on Wednesday. Usually on Tuesday, they get a sale and they're like, I don't want to ride with you. I can do this, However, if it's this person who has been here for several months and I know that they're a producer, I'm like, I will call and be like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. Cause I know that something's wrong. If I have someone who, and then they'll be like, oh, I got a flat tire. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Or, oh, my area is really tough, or no one's answering the door, what have you. But I know that they'll be fine, So, but I really, really, I love when you get to a place of most of your reps are producing, because then it's just you're in flow state. And then you can really focus on getting your rookies to get on the wheel as well. So, but yeah, the conversation looks different for everybody. So, I can only be so many places at once. So if a couple people need help, I can take one of them Tuesday, the next one Wednesday, but I have a lot of leadership too. So I'll be like, hey, you need to ride around with this veteran tomorrow. Just let's figure it out, figure out what you're struggling with or whatever. So it just depends, because not everyone's going to be a great door-to-door salesman in their first week or two, so.
So see, if you talk about you guys getting your flow state, once your team starts getting the flow state and focus on the rookies and those kind of things. So is that flow state area by area? So say you go to a blitz in one city, maybe you're in a flow state there, and maybe that flow state doesn't transfer over to the next city.
Mm-hmm.
Or are you talking, look, when we're in a flow state, like we go city to city to city, it's in a flow, or is there, what happens when that flow state kind of like hits a wall? It's kind of like, what happened here? What does that regroup look like?
Well, something that I actually still, so first of all, like my top producers, they don't give a hoot. They don't care if the area is hard. They're going in and they're going hard, and they will produce, period. Like my vets who have been here for a while and they're high producers, I'm like, I don't have to worry about them ever. But if for the rookies, like if it's a tougher area for my veterans, I start to worry about my rookies, but I give them the freedom. But I honestly, I hope they don't listen to this podcast, because I'm going to say it stresses me out. I don't know if it's a
good thing or a bad thing to hope. I'm trying to think for myself.
It makes, I do struggle with this sense of guilt, because if they don't make sales, then they don't make money, right? So I'm like, okay, is everybody all right? How can I help? I can only ride around with one person a day, maybe two, and I have to make sure that everyone's okay. And so, I feel a sense of guilt, but I have to understand that this is part of it. I have to remember my first 2, 3, 4 weeks where I was just like, what am I doing? How did I ever think I was going to be good at this? I was crying on the doors like every single day. Like, I was so upset that I started this job when I first started it. And then went on a few months later to be the top female rep in the entire company. So I know that I have to, instead of feeling guilty, I have to let them grow through that pain. But it's a learning lesson, right? Because I'm an empathetic person and I want everyone to just jump out of the gates and succeed. But so it is stressful. I don't like them to know that, but it stresses me out.
I mean, but you care about them winning. I mean,
I do.
It's like, I look at, I mean, when, oh my gosh, working on incentive plans, creating incentive plans is stressful because, you set balance. I mean, what's the right for it, what's not right for it. And, because I want everybody to do very well, very, very, very well. I want everybody to do tremendously well. And my people, my people who have been here for a long time know that's what I want, because they know what I do behind the scenes to try to make things work. But it's not always the easiest thing to communicate either. It's like, it's like you said, it's like you go and beat, doors all day long or whatever you do. And when it comes to design, I mean, we might be designing all that long to meet deadlines for design work. And it's like, what am I doing? Like, especially when a client's like, I don't like that, redo it, I need it done by Friday type of thing. But it's like, what are we doing type of thing? So it definitely, every industry has its pros and its cons. Some might be much more lucrative and some might not be, but then I guess the way the sales are done is, your guys' sales is completely different. I mean, door to door to door to door to door every day, all day. The one thing I can relate to it the most is I ran for politics last year.
Oh,
I ran
wow.
for our local county council, and my oldest son, who's here with me again, he would go with me every once in a while, and we go door to door to door with my little pitch, my political pitch, my little flyers, and oh yeah, it was first time I've never. You talk about being uncomfortable. I have never ran for an office in my life. I talk a lot of politics. I love politics, but I've never ran. It's a whole different thing when you actually start speaking to things that like you need to be educated on, because it's not an opinion. It's here. This is where I stand on this issue. And we come up with the people at the doors that are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum for you. Oh yeah, those conversations get interesting pretty quick. So it's, but
I didn't even think about that.
oh yeah, you talk about door-to-door sales. I'm starting to think, it's like, man, the Chey, if I run again, I might have to have her and her team come up and blitz these doors.
You might win. You might win.
I only lost by 104 out of 6,000
Oh
votes.
shoot.
Yeah,
That's good.
it was close. It was really close. It was me, the new guy, against the incumbent. So yeah, it was close.
Hey, you were on the edge of your seat for that.
Man, well, here's a crazy thing. The night of the election, the news said I won, but the newspaper said I lost. So, it was a mess. It was a mess.
Oh no.
And I'm with the team of people that say, or talk about voter fraud, how big of an issue it is with the machines and everything else. So they're all up in arms. I was like, oh my gosh. That was probably the most stressful thing that I did last year, amongst everything. Here, I want to end this with this. If you had to go back to your 21, 22, 23-year-old self, somebody's just getting out of college, or maybe just at the end of college, just getting out of college, what is the advice that you would give them to say, hey, look, if you took these steps, you're going to be okay? What would you tell them?
I would tell her to, number one, not be so hard on herself. Everything is temporary, and I would have instilled that in her brain. The hard times are temporary, and so are the amazing, super high, great times. And so always be prepared for the low, and always understand that the lows aren't going to last forever. I would have, just probably pushed under getting to know myself a little better. Obviously, now where I am now, sales is what I'm great at, and I wish I would have taken time to get to know myself better. But I think I judged myself a lot more than I sat with myself and got to know me better. And I would have known that sales is great for me a long time ago, if I had listened to myself and been more self-aware. So I know that it may sound cliche, but truly be patient. You're going to get there. Don't be so hard on yourself. And I probably, if I could just whisper in her ear to work on her personal development a little earlier in life, probably would do that too. So, but a lot of patience, because I think people in their early 20s, even in really, really in that sensitive spot of like 23 to 25 that we were talking about, where you're out of college and you just got chucked into the world. And there's this misconception in the 23 to 25-year-old brain that, oh my God, I'm an adult now. I'm supposed to know exactly who I am, where I'm going, what I'm doing. No, you're not. You're not supposed to know. Those are times where you're figuring out who you are, what you're going to do. You're going to go through heartbreak. You're going to try this job and you're going to hate it. And you're going to be a little irresponsible or this or that. But those things are going to teach you. They're going to take you where you're going. They're going to teach you the lessons that you need to carry with you for the rest of your life. So those times are crucial. And, there's no reason to rush. I didn't find success until my, late 20s. And, some people don't find it till they're 40 or 50 or whatever. So you're not on someone else's timeline. You're not on that girl who you graduated with in college, and she looks so perfect and amazing and successful on Instagram. You're not on her time. Yeah. You're not on her timeline. You're on your timeline. And so, you know, don't compare yourself to others. Don't be so hard on yourself, and, you know, just keep going, and, you know, you're going to be just fine. So.
Well, Chey, it was a pleasure talking to you. I love
Yeah.
the energy. It's like you put salespeople in a room, and you know, especially put a drink or two in there. Watch out. You won't realize what time of 4 a.m. before everybody knows, because nobody can stop talking. So
yeah.
But I appreciate the insight, because a lot of people, like, what I like about the conversation with you is you're pretty real about all the conversation when it comes to sales, when it comes to like your experience with it, you know, where you started with it, and then where you are with it. I mean, it's that evolution. A lot of people just see those top performers, Grant Cardone and all these guys, and they're kind of like, you know, who are these guys? Like, what are these guys? You know, and where did they start? And as much as these guys, as gurus that, you know, Gary Vee and all these guys I can talk about, Gary Vee's a relatable guy, but still, they're so far up there that people don't know how to get started, and they don't know how to relate to those people. They want that, but they don't know how to relate. Between there and where they are is a huge gap.
Yeah.
So speaking with people like yourself who have become successful almost at the age of almost 30, you know, I mean, it's something that people can actually go now. They can touch that. They can say, "Wow, that's possible." Okay, because now at your level, I'm sure you're saying, "All right, done a lot, made some good money. What's next? What's the next thing now? What's the next thing? How do we get the next up?" Because it's always the next thing. It's not, you're never there. You never got anything. Once you make your first $100,000, it's like, that was pretty cool, but okay, but what's next? And it's not. And we and I talked about this. It's not the money. It's money's a tool. Money is a tool. It's like a brick. You can throw a brick through a window. You can build a building.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Money is a tool to be able to, you can invest more in yourself. You know, I'm a huge health advocate when it comes to the stem cells, and you know that chiropractors that do all the other functional medicine, that kind of stuff. So I invest a lot of money in that, and so it's a tool for me to be able to spend more on my health, besides having to go to a doctor all the time and get on all the medications and this kind of stuff. You know, the gym. I love gym. I got an F3 group I work out with, so I invest in radios and different equipment to go and work out with my buddies, because that's my hobby. I love it. That's where I get to hang out with the guys.
So you've taken money to enhance your life,
exactly,
right?
Exactly,
you know?
Exactly.
So your quality of life is better.
Yes, so. Correct. So, no, but anyways, Chey, seriously, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. I would love to stay connected with you offline. So if you want to throw out your handle to everybody that they can come and follow you, what's your handle on Instagram?
Yeah, I want you to follow me too, so I can follow you back. But it's at chey.wisdom. So you spell Chey a little differently. It's CHEY.wisdom. Wisdom is my last name. So come say hi.
It's kind of a catchy sales name.
I know. I love it. I love my name, actually.
All right, Chey. Well, hey, great meeting you. Great talking to you. I look forward to catching up, and we'll stay in touch soon, and then I'll let you know when all this launches.
Thank you so much. And it was such a pleasure. You're so cool. This was a very easy conversation. Great.
Don't tell everyone on my team. I guess my head's big enough. So. All right, Chey, I'll see you. Take it easy.
See ya.